What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on Dressed to Kill, I felt a sudden surge of inspiration to take on the tentacle-bearing seaman himself, Hydroid. Alrighty, so I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Hydroid was not one of those frames that I enjoyed customizing whatsoever. I gave it a bunch of tries in the past, and it felt very similar to the Zephyr skin. No matter what I put on it, it just did not look right. But for some reason, like the earth, the moon, the stars, the sun, they all aligned just right tonight, because I sat here and I was like, let's play around with Hydroid and see what we get. And it's one of those strange occasions where I was like, I was able to knock out 3 looks that I feel really good about, and put on extra like accessories and customizations and even some weird SANDRs for you guys. So I'm really excited to share it. So stay tuned if that's what you want to see. Alright, so the first customization we're going to take a look at is my default one. Now, this one I am a bit in love with. As you can see here, it pulls in kind of teals from the ocean. It's very oceany for the main part of the body, but we actually went ahead and splashed in a little bit of this really faded grayish burgundy. Like, I would say kind of like, is it a taupe? Is it a mauve? I think it's something like there. But yeah, I actually really like that because it almost gives this feeling of flesh. And I know that sounds so weird and it sounds kind of gross, but that's also why I went ahead and switched up his armor set. Now, for many of you guys who have seen earlier, I was actually using the Kuva armor set on him, and it looked fantastic. By the way, this is where that color is. Just pointing those out. It's little arrows. You'll see them right there. And I'm just going to kind of chat as we go through. So I was actually looking at it and I was like, you know what? This would be perfect with the Embolist set, because the Embolist set has all of those like tentacly bits. And I was like, all right, tentacly bits with this kind of like flesh tone. And I actually altered the color scheme just a little bit. Like I had to move around the colors to make it so the dangly bits would have all of those fleshy tones on them, because that's really what I wanted to convey. Is like I wanted this like octopus kind of squid feeling from him, and I feel like it worked out pretty well. So as you can see, let me go ahead and jump into the attachments. I put the Embolist on everything. I wasn't really fond of the way that the chest sat on him, and that's kind of like one of the big fashion framey tips that I give everybody, is sometimes you don't have to put all of the accessories on. It's not necessary to do it. As you can see, it almost just busies up the look a little too much by placing it on, and it's like off center, and it doesn't have any tentacly bits to it, so it kind of just it throws the look off in this particular sense. I do like that chest piece in other scenarios, but for this specific one, I was not feeling it whatsoever. And then we actually went ahead and tossed on the epoxy SANDR on the back. As you guys know, I pretty much always use, not always, but for a lot of my looks, I like to use either the Tello SANDR or the Officium SANDR. And that's mainly because I have like my Energize on there, my Arcane Energize, or like any Arcane that I need to kind of like get the job done. But I did want to show you like a different look for this one, and it kind of ties everything in, and it kind of has that same kind of sea monster feeling, which is what I really wanted to drive the point home with this look. It looks fleshy, and it looks tentacly, and that's what we're doing. And you know what? These little things right here totally remind me, and I bet you could actually switch it up real fast, of the Ketos helmet, right? It has a little dangly bit. It's kind of like one of those fisher, fisher creatures that like have their bioluminescence, and then it hangs in front of their face, and then anything that comes close enough, they go meow. That's exactly what I felt like, and that's why I wanted to go ahead and use the epoxy SANDR. Now, clearly, the Rayqual is my favorite, and that's 10 gens, so not everybody's actually going to be able to get their hands on it because some people don't want to spend the money, but Ketos is my second favorite, and Ketos will work with a lot of the looks that we have today. So keep that in mind as we move along into our next customization. Alright, so we've got our next look up, and I wanted to kind of share some of the tips and tricks that I used in order to color Hydroid, just to kind of make it easier, because I know that I had issues with him, but I want to swap between the two looks real fast so you can see what I'm talking about. What made it really easy for me, if I don't want to stress too much about it, I like putting a colored tone on the upper thighs and kind of like a more neutral variance down towards the knees. So you will see that right here. So I use the secondary and the tertiary. The secondary has a little pop of color to it, and then I go with like a gray tone for the tertiary. Same thing happens here, except I actually kind of swap it up. So I make the secondary a little bit darker, and I made the tertiary a little bit lighter. However, they're both neutrals that complement each other fairly well. And then, as always, we go in with an accent that gives that nice pop of color. Now, from the previous one, I really didn't want to do exactly the same, and as you can tell, the blue tones are slightly different between the two, the other one being a little bit more teal. However, I like the incorporation of the green because it felt like it almost harkened to a little bit like seaweed, and I actually pulled, we'll talk about this in a second, I actually pulled this gray. The Grenier palette is amazing for these grays right here. There's a brown-based gray, and then there's this kind of like green-based gray. So I felt like a green-based gray with the green accent would work really well. And the other thing that I went ahead and did, and you probably can't see it, but it's right, oh, you can see it, it's like right there. It's perfect, it's right there. You can see my little mouse right there. That is actually the base tone for the body, and the thing that ties that all together is that is also a green-based off-white. And I know I sound absolutely crazy talking about green-based off-whites, but like literally you can kind of take a look when we look at other off-whites that we have. They carry like a different temperature. That one looks slightly purpley pinky, if you notice that. And then I take it off and it looks much greener. So let me go ahead and give you the actual color rundown before I start rambling too much. The next thing you can see is I actually put on the Kuva armor set on him, and that's mainly because I almost wanted a little bit of this navy theme, and I felt like the Kuva armor set is a little bit more imposing, it's a little bit more in your face, and I felt like it felt military-esque. It felt like it had more presence than the Embolist. So that's what I really, really enjoyed it for. And then, of course, you know, just with all things, you can change up the energy color you want, but I wanted to keep the Seaman theme going. He's from the sea, and he is a man, so he is a seaman. Now the SANDR here, I wanted to, before I forget to point this out, this one is not one that you see me using very much or at all really, but I am very fond of it, and it kind of fits the Hydroid theme. This is the Sancti SANDR, of course, from New Loka. I do believe I call this the vagina one. There's a little clitoris just spurting, but hey, you know, I figured it's a look, it's something that's available for you guys to play around with. Just safe for you guys to play around with the clitoris. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our last and final look. So I'm gonna be completely frank with you. This is a look that I have been attempting to nail down for the longest time, and all it took was mixing a couple things up. Now, remember when I said earlier that the pop of color should be on the high knees, and the knees down here should be a little bit more neutral? Well, what I actually wanted to go and experiment with is see if I could change the color placement. Now, usually the primary is where I have all of my lighter tones. So you can see in my first look and my second look, both of them have that light piece. But I wanted to go ahead and see if I couldn't switch it up a bit. And that's kind of something that you guys should try out too when you're doing looks, when you're doing multiple looks for a frame. You kind of want to change up where you place certain colors just to see how it works. Now, previous to this, I'd been trying to nail like a red pirate. I wanted like a reddy brownie pirate theme, like, you know, like he's in like grungy, dirty clothes. But I could never get it right, and it's because I was putting the colors in the wrong spot. So that's another tip too. If you guys are getting stuck customizing one of your frames, like all of the colors work well together, but it's not sitting right on the frame, just mix up where you place the colors and it might actually work out for you. Now this one, this one made me very happy. I'll be honest with you. This one made me super happy because I've been looking for a way to do this and to do it right. So as you can see, definitely feels very piratey. We went ahead and pulled in some kind of like a little bit of a faded burgundy, and of course we have our creamy off-white. Yes, because there are many different off-whites. And then I wanted to make him feel a little bit more regal, a little bit more I don't know, shiny and metallic. And as you can see right here, oh, we got a follower. Thank you, Ella. Thank you for following, whoever you are. But as you can see, we are dipping back into our Grenier palette for the brown down there. And well, it's not a brown, it's like a gray brown. And it's all these subtle little touches, because as you can see, we definitely had a much cooler gray in the other variant, and now we have this one, which is definitely a little bit more warm. And then this is like, I don't know why, but the Dojo Palette's brown is fantastic for so many different things. And the interesting thing about it is, because of the fact that it's laid up against the rest of these colors, it almost pulls like this browny goldy tone, which is really, really pretty and works very, very well on the armor. Now, the attachments themselves, as you guys know, these are the Ito chest plates and the Ito shoulder plates, Ito Prime. Correction, let me correct myself, and these have yet to be unvaulted, but yes, I'm right there cheering for you guys for this to get unvaulted. But kind of like what I was saying earlier, the rule is sometimes you don't have to put all of the armor on at once, and as you can see, I left the legs off, and that's mainly because, as you can see, there are definitely some clipping issues, and let's be real, Hydroid's a little thick. You know, he's a little thick down on the bottom area. He's very pear-shaped. So you don't necessarily want to add more bulk to the bottom, you want to add a little bulk to the top, which is exactly what I did on the previous one, on this one too. Because as you can see, the attachments, I didn't put anything on the knees, and that's mainly because of the fact that, you know, he's thick. So you don't need to do that. It was okay with our first one, and that's mainly because that's all that was really there. So I'm like, all right, we can add a little extra splash of something there, but for the rest of them, I try to stay away from the knees. Now, I had to pull out an old favorite because I think that this goes really, really well when it comes to the SANDR. This is the Rhoda SANDR. Can we just have a moment about how gorgeous that SANDR is? This is Tennogen. It works really, really well with the Ito SANDR, and I just felt it was like the crowning, finishing touch to this variant of Hydroid. And I love the fact that this circle also mimics the circle of energy on his chest, and of course, I had to make his energy color a creamy white color because you can't have Seaman without a little bit of Seaman. Regardless, that pretty much does it for my customizations with Hydroid, my little tips and tricks to kind of help you guys out with your customizations. Tweet me with all of that kind of stuff at agayGuyPlays to show off your like Captura scenes and all of the things that inspired you. Let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything else that you're curious about, or if there's anything that you want me to customize. Now, do be aware, I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that there is going to be a Hydroid Grax that's coming out, and it's going to be really, really exciting, as well as a Hydroid Prime that's going to come out. And I think that several of these looks will translate really well into the Prime. We'll have to see when the Grax comes out, but as we know, not everybody is going to be able to put out the cash for Grax stuff, or for stuff in Tennogen. So I thought I would go ahead and do something base, even though I know I'm using a Tennogen helmet, and I just showed you a Tennogen SANDR. But look, it still looks good with the standard helmets. Look at that. I think it looks very piratey right there. I think that's pretty damn good. And even there, I actually will stand by that with his little eye patch that I just recently discovered. However, that's still my favorite. Just putting that out there into the universe. So that about does it for me. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. Preferably not with like crazy tentacles and shit. I don't get that kind of stuff at all. Is that meant to turn people on? Anyway, leave that in the comments too. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.